This episode is presented to you by NFL Sunday Ticket, now on YouTube and YouTube TV. With NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube and YouTube TV, you can watch your favorite teams' out-of-market Sunday games, plus watch up to 4 games at once with Multiview. Don't miss the race to the playoffs. NFL Sunday Ticket is now just $39 when bundled with YouTube TV, where you get even more football. Visit youtube.com/Spotify offer to sign up now. Lowest price on YouTube TV with base plan. Rest of 2023 season. Terms and embargoes apply. No cancellations.
Empire.
As you can see, if you're watching us on the live stream, Nicki's with me, of course. If you're listening to us later, you can find us on YouTube as part of Empire Media, AMPIRE. You can always read my work on ESPN.com. You can read Nicki's work at WashingtonPost.com, and all that good stuff there. That's all the introduction we need there. Again, Nicki's joining me here. We're going to talk about the state of this team, which is the same state it was in last week, which is chaos, confusion. Actually, there's no confusion about what's going on because they're bad. Anyways, thanks for joining me again, Nicki. Let's start with Sam Howell because, again, this whole season is boiling down to one player and the direction of this franchise seems to be boiling down to one player. Not his best game on Sunday.
No.
Where are you at with him after these last several weeks?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's less him than with the team. After he was pulled in the fourth quarter, Ron Rivera said afterward that it was to protect him. But the truth of the matter is Sam Howell he was only hit twice in that game, sacked once. And if you're not going to pull him against the Bills when he's sacked 9 times and hit 14 times, then how can you claim it's about protecting him here? And he was pulled right after he threw an interception. So
with a lot of time left in the game.
Yeah, the optics don't quite align with the messaging there. But yeah, and I think that just the fact that they pulled him and then Jacoby Brissett came in quickly through 2 touchdowns like it was nothing. That kind of changed things just in the dynamic. I mean, Sam Howell has struggled probably for the last 5-6 games as the offense has struggled. But this was somewhat telling. And, we talked to Ron on Monday and I asked him, if you guys were still in playoff contention, would you still be sticking with Howell? And he basically hedged. I was surprised he answered it, first of all.
I was surprised too.
But he did, and he hedged. And the fact that he didn't say outright, no, Sam's our guy and would have been our guy then too, I thought that was telling,
I did too. And I agree with you because when I heard you asking the question, I'm like, he's just going to say, well, it doesn't matter, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer hypotheticals or something. Yeah.
Yeah. But the fact that he answered it, now the other part of me, and if I'm him, I probably would have said, if we were in playoff contention, it probably means he's playing really well. So, you know what I'm saying? Right. And you can flip it to a certain way, or that the offense is going really well. So why would we change? Right. But the fact that he hedged and so, I think this is why you always give it a season to evaluate somebody or a situation to see, like, is it all him? Is it all this? Is it that? How much of it is him? How much of it is this or that? So, have you changed your thoughts on maybe the direction where he's headed with this franchise? And again, the hard part to know is we don't know who's going to be calling the shots.
Right. It's hard to know how the franchise feels because the decision makers outside of ownership are not in place right now. But as far as him and his potential, I'm in kind of the same spot. I think he has a lot of qualities that you like in a quarterback that aren't necessarily easy to find in quarterbacks. With his arm, his mobility, I think he has shown some progress in his decision making, but there are still some issues that persist, and there are issues that have continued since college, like with protection issues. He's up to 59 sacks. I mean, he's had 6 picks in the last 4 games. A lot of this you could chalk up to he's a rookie, essentially. Like you said, he hasn't had a full season of work. I think you also have to factor in the personnel around him. And this is by no means a bad team. He's got quality players, but the line is not what it was, say, 2 years ago. I think you have to factor all of that in, put it into context as best you can. And I'm still of the mind that until you give him a solid group up front, until the defense pulls its together, like, I don't think you're going to get a true gauge or as fair of one as you can get in the league without it. And not every team gets that fair gauge of their quarterbacks, but
right. And I think the other thing for me, first of all, he played really poorly. He was bad on Sunday, and
he was bad.
There were throws that he was missing. Yeah, and there were throws that he wasn't. Sometimes like you can see like on that, and on my little, I did a review on him for this morning, and one of the plays I forgot to talk about, which was one of the worst, was that wheel route to Jonathan Williams, which is wide open. It's a touchdown. I don't know why he didn't go there, and that's where some of the stuff is when I see it. What is he not trusting at that point? Because or is he not seeing it?
He looked over there. His
Correct.
eyes were over there, and then he went all the way to the other side towards Harry. And I'm not gonna disagree in throwing to Terry on that situation, but the touchdown was there.
The touchdown was there, and that, whether it changes the game or not, it certainly changes the momentum of the game.
Sure.
And but I wonder, there were a couple other throws, one or two to Terry that weren't made, where I'm like, okay, why? And this is where, this is when you're sitting down with the guy, why didn't you go here? Because you're looking here, it's there. Why didn't you go there? And there's like, what's causing him to kind of hesitate a little bit with some of those throws? And then what does it mean? And, there's so many factors that go into this that it's never as simple as guy is great or guy is really, really horrible. Well, maybe sometimes it is, sometimes, but in this case, I think there's more nuance to it. However, you'd like to see more progression from him, especially against some of these better defenses. And to your point earlier, and it's a great point, there were a couple times where the protection had some issues. And one time it was, I actually thought they held up pretty well. And there was one time it was a failed blitz pickup was the issue, not the line. Yeah. But that's still protection. But by and large, the protection was there for him on Sunday. I don't think that was the issue.
Got beat pretty bad on one play on the interior.
Right, he did on one play. And so that's right. And so, and that, not to excuse that, but the point is it wasn't like he was under it wasn't an all-out siege for the entire game for him. That's not the case.
Hit twice. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so, when you watch Jacoby come in and do what he did, and it's not always apples to apples. I get that. Because the one thing I noticed when he was in there, the Rams were just straight 4-man rushes. Mm-hmm. And the coverages weren't trying to disguise as much as they did with Sam. I felt like they did a great job of fooling Sam with the coverages. But that said, Jacoby hasn't played. He goes in there, he looks pretty good.
Right.
How would you reevaluate maybe the decision to go with Sam all year? And having seen that, does that change anything for you? Do you still look back and say that's the absolute right call to go with this kid all year?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. I think you got to, if there's an inkling of a chance that he could be the guy, you have to see what he has. And if you give up too soon, you won't know what he has. So right. I don't fault them at all for going with Sam and sticking with him as long as they did. I think they lost a lot of the games, not necessarily because of him. Some obviously in part because of him, but not solely because of his play. The defense has been atrocious. They make the same freaking mistakes week after week after week. So I don't fault them for sticking with Sam. And Jacoby didn't have any in-season reps with the first teams like most backups don't. But he does have 8 years of experience and he's been a starter in this league. And I thought what Terry said post-game pretty much said it all. He's not saying anything bad about Sam Howell, but when he's talking about Jacoby, he's talking about, he knows the leverages. He knows how to put air under the ball so the receivers can track it. It's the little nuances that just come with experience and seeing different things and knowing what works and what doesn't in the league. And you can't really replicate that and I'm still going to call Sam Howell rookie, even though he's a second-year guy. But
Yeah.
But you just can't replicate that. And you see the difference immediately. He comes in and there's an automatic connection with another veteran receiver in Terry.
I also wonder too, because like, first of all, he's, again, I think the way it felt like he knew where he was going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a couple of times but he was patient and waiting for routes, threw with some good, pretty good anticipation there. Even on the Terry one, like Terry gets jammed and he breaks free. And it's like, that was a hard one. Like, you needed time to get him to give that, but he threw a good ball to him. And even like the one a couple weeks ago against the one that Terry drew, the over the shoulder one that he didn't catch against the Dolphins, I think, right? And, that's one where I think he was expecting the ball in a different place and it's not there. And you kind of have to get turned, that wasn't the case with Jacoby now, but I'm with you. Like the beginning of the year, I remember being asked by somebody like, well, if Rivera wants to keep his job, he should just go to Jacoby because you could get to 9-8. It's like, well, 9-8 with Jacoby is not keeping his job because you're going to have to do more than that because the thing, if I'm this group, is like you've had 4 years to find a quarterback and you couldn't do it. So you're going to be back in that quarterback derby this offseason if you go that route. And I think a lot of Jacoby I think was a really good acquisition for them. But if you wanted to really see, you need to see, can Howell be that guy? And I don't know that he can't be. I just don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he should be by any means.
Right. And I agree, especially with them likely having a top 5 pick, maybe even higher if they lose out. I don't think you can discount the possibility that even if they like Sam Howell, they may still take a quarterback. So nothing's guaranteed for him or any other player except for maybe Terry, given who he is and the contract situation and Daron Payne. But that's it, really. I mean, Jonathan Allen is under contract, but it's a movable contract. I mean, there are others like that too. Nothing is guaranteed for anybody except really those two.
If they can cut Cam Cheeseman, they can cut anybody. That's what I've always said. So I don't mean to say that because I like Cam.
He's a nice guy, but
But anyway, the point is all but those two because of contracts. And I think the other thing is when you haven't had a quarterback for a long time be your guy, you do not stop searching for that player until you are convinced that you have the guy. Right. And that would be my thing. And I do have one. I was going to get to some questions later, but somebody, since we're talking about this, Mike Ace asked, Gruden got stuck with RG3, Rivera got stuck with Haskins. Is the new regime going to get stuck with someone else's pick? I say no. That's not how Josh Harris is operated. What do you think?
No. I think, I think when they hire a GM and a coach, you empower them to handle personnel. And they've said that. You've seen it play out with their other team, with Josh Harris's other team. So it's not like, there's no proof of it. He has a track record, just not necessarily in the NFL. But he's empowered his employees to make decisions. Now, will he be involved? Yes, most owners are. When you're investing millions and you're selecting somebody who is going to be a massive investment for at least 4 years, probably 5, you're going to have some say, but you empower your experts in the room to make those decisions. Yeah,
and that's what he's done. He has a track record of that. Previous guy, of course, would not have done that. He would have, whatever, who knows what. Well, we know what he would have done if he liked the guy. If he didn't like the guy, he would have gotten rid of him. But that certainly is not Harris's, the way he operates. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. And I don't think
he's a 5th round pick. I mean, RG3 and Dwayne were 1st round picks. Right. That's different,
Right. There was listen, and with RG3, you're talking about he'd only played 2 years.
I know. I took getting stuck with him. I mean, he was a really good player a year before that.
And it was only 2 years. And while there were issues and there, the health and, trying to get him in place certain way, it was only 2 years. And so you had to stick with him. And I will say, I know, like,
I not to run over my dog. Sorry.
Okay. All those guys come in saying like, oh yeah, I can make it work because they just want the job.
Sure.
And then like, they'll just say whatever they can to get the job. But in this case, if Josh Harris went to, let's say you got Adam Peters from the Niners, you get a chance to get him a GM. He's like, well, you can come here, but you got to stick with Sam Howell. What do you think he's going to say?
No.
I'll see you later.
Right.
And you're not going to lose a chance.
Have options. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why Josh Harris would be wedded to anybody. He didn't draft him.
Right.
And he may even like him. And again, this is not to discard him. It's just to say you need to keep your options wide open. And and here's the other thing, Nikki, what if he has good games the next 3 weeks? Hey, that's great for them.
This episode is brought to you by Google Pixel, the official fan phone of the NBA and WNBA. The new Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 Pro are built different. How? Take the Audio Magic Eraser tool that helps block out distracting crowd noise so your play-by-play commentary sounds crystal clear. The only phone engineered by Google brings out the audio you care about so your videos sound as crisp as they look. Learn more at googlestore.com/pixelnba. Audio Magic Eraser requires Google Photos app. May not work on all audio elements. Apple Card is the credit card created by Apple. You earn 3% daily cash back up front when you use it to buy a new iPhone 15, AirPods, or any products at Apple. And you can automatically grow your daily cash at 4.15% annual percentage yield when you open a high-yield savings account. Apply for Apple Card in the Wallet app on iPhone. Apple Card subject to credit approval. Savings is available to Apple Card owners subject to eligibility. Savings accounts by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC. Terms apply.
All I want for the holidays this year is some NBA action. This week, new customers can score 150 instantly in bonus bets just for betting $5. An instant dub just for you. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KEIM, K-E-I-M. New customers can get 150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on basketball. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code KEIM. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/basketball for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
But that's the other thing you brought up, chance to finish with one of those top picks. You know what's going to happen Sunday then.
They're going to win. They're going to win.
Oh,
it's inevitable.
And you're going to have the fan base will still be upset because, wait.
Yes. Yes.
But, players want to win, and players do not care about the draft picks, and these coaches do not care. In the front office, they want to see them. They want to win,
Right.
But, I get it from does it cost you one of the top two picks? And right now, the answer would be no, but it could.
Could cost a 3.
Could cost. And that's where I think.
What did Seth Walder put out? He put the percentages of a third pick is if they lose out, it's 80-something%.
Oh, okay. Well, and the third pick, man, because now you're talking, you have your pick of the best of everybody else, whether it's Marvin Harrison, one of the tackles, or do you like Jaden Daniels that much? Whoever it is. And, and I think that's why it's important to see how Howell finishes, or do you trade to get more? But, I think that's a big thing. And then this is another thing, and we kind of talked on this, but I'll go over it anyways a little bit. Nate wants to know, what was the difference, Nikki, between Jacoby and Sam, and Jacoby being able to come in and immediately see and hit Terry for longer plays?
He knows what to look for. I think it all comes down to experience, really. He knows what to look for. He doesn't have a ton of experience with Terry, but he knows the guys, and they practice some in camp. But I think that's just his experience, kind of knowing, as Terry described, leverages and where receivers are going to be on certain routes, and how a defense will react and where your windows are going to be. And I think that's absolutely a product of that, because he's not coming. They're just, Jacoby said this. It's not like they're doing anything magical. They're just playing their base offense. It's just basic stuff out there, but he knows where to put the ball.
Yeah, and I think the one, because there were a couple of times where Howell wanted to get to him, but it looked like the Rams did a good job disguising the defense, and down the side where it's broken up, and it should have been intercepted. And it looks like maybe are they going to rotate to a cover one, because they showed that look earlier in the game, and he passed up Terry, who ended up getting a one-on-one in a cover 3 situation where it could have been a big play. So they go to it the next time and they ran a cover 2 and they break it up. So I think
this was the one in the first quarter, right?
Well, the first one in the first quarter is the one he didn't throw, and he throws it to Gibson for 8 yards.
Right.
And then the next time later in the game, when he looks like they may rotate to the same coverage, so you got a one-on-one, and they drop into it was a cover 3 or no, cover 2 and broken up. And so that's taking advantage of a young kid.
Right.
And is that something that
snap reads are
Yeah.
With
and
more and more teams playing the too high where they change it up after the snap. That's
and it's like that's this team did that pretty well last year, not this year. But and that's and even 2 years ago, but it caused him some confusion in that game, and they did a really good job with that. And that they did not do the same thing with Jacoby, but I also think with Jacoby, he had a calmer presence at the line, maybe a little bit, and just knowing where he was going to go, because it seemed like he was confident in knowing where he was going to go with the ball, and got there. And again, sometimes I felt like they regulated their defense a little bit more with him, and they couldn't pressure him the same way. And maybe they were afraid to do that. And the other thing is too, the guy's 6'4". He saw over the line pretty well. Right. And I think that helped too. But he did a nice job. And I think it speaks to him being a pro, right? Right. That's why this guy is last in the league. And it's why people think he's a very good backup, if nothing else.
Right. So
I think it's props to him.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're quick to kind of write off the Jets because of their offense, but their defense is legit. They have the number 2 passing defense in the league. So
it's still going to be a struggle.
It's going to be a struggle.
This smells like an exciting 13-10 game on Christmas Eve.
Who's ready?
I can't wait.
How many people can you count the number of people on one hand who will be in the press box? I'm going with I think it'll be very limited. I think there was a chance that it could have been more, but Aaron Rodgers kind of deflated that on the Pat McAfee show. Which is shocking that he's not ready to play after undergoing Achilles surgery 2 months ago.
Yeah.
Shocking.
And the good thing for him is he doesn't usually seek attention like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's great about him. Yeah. I just wonder how many, like the over under on the crowds. This could look like I guess now instead of a 4th preseason game, a 3rd preseason game.
Better or worse than Panthers Falcons the other day?
Oh, it'll be better than that.
Yeah.
Because it's New York.
Yeah. That made FedEx in 2021 look packed.
That was bad. The weather was bad, and the teams are even worse. So there you go. Here's the other one. Emmanuel Forbes, only 6 snaps the other day. What was your read on that?
It certainly wasn't matchup related, which is what Ron claimed. It may be performance and injury related. He's coming off the elbow. To me, I read that as, do you fully trust the guy? Which is, an indictment on the pick. He's your first round guy. But yeah, it's concerning, no doubt. If you're going to activate him and you're going to play him 6 snaps.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I know that they like where Quan Martin is at. I like how he's progressed.
Yeah,
but this is your first round pick,
right? And Quan's still not your.
He was playing a lot more in the box,
on the outside.
Right?
Yeah.
No, and he was playing a lot more in the box, and so, yes, I was a little surprised at how little he played, and like, will it change over the next 3 weeks? Because if it doesn't, that becomes a major indictment, like you said. I mean, it's already the immediate impact wasn't there,
right?
And I don't think it's like, I know people always like to bring up his size. He hasn't struggled because of his size.
And it's not been because of his size.
No, it hasn't been because he struggled with some technique, and I like how he's handled the questions, but you want to see him handle it on the field, to improve there. But yeah, I think that's something to definitely watch. And I'll tell you, Nikki, and I know Michael Phillips tweeted this, and we all know it. Like the first round picks have not hit.
Not great. Not a great. Chase gone. Jamin hurt, not playing well, not anywhere. What you?
Yeah, and Jamin actually was playing. I thought he was playing all right, pretty well before he got hurt.
Yeah, for a 3rd round pick, maybe, sure, yeah, but
agreed. Yes, I would agree with that. Like it, it took a few years to get there, and I think yes.
I still think Jahan very good receiver. He's had a
Yes.
bad year. The drops are bad.
But
I still think he's a very good receiver.
Yeah, I agree. And
aside from being bad, I think he's a very good receiver.
Yeah, and like even his numbers, even if he caught every pass, his numbers aren't going to be that much great. You know what I mean? They would be a little bit better, but we're not talking the difference between 500 yards and 1,000. We're talking about what? Maybe getting to 600 or whatever it is. I don't even know where he's at.
I mean, the receiving core, they got some quality guys. It's just all the same guys, like, can we get some height? Can we get some size in there just to mix it up a bit?
Marvin Harrison
Jr. Come on down.
I mean, but it is what it is.
With the third pick.
Would I do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I mean, I watched him play in college.
Well, you went to Ohio State, so that none of that is shocking.
But I will say, like, if they went there, I would have zero problem with that because I think it's what they need, and I think he's good. I was talking to someone today.
Even if you don't have anybody to throw to him. I
mean, I would take him, but now, and I know the line stuff, and this would be an off-season topic about like the line or the receiver. If they go and take the kid from Penn State or Notre Dame a tackle, kind of hard to argue that too.
Yeah, I'd be all for a tackle. I think quarterback, tackle, pass rusher, elite generational talent at every other position.
Well, I would say this: if you want elite generational talent, if you want the elite generational talent, it's Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yes,
he is the guy.
Yeah.
But if you want to fix the line, there's other ways to do it. But I mean, I'm partial to Harrison because I see.
Are you?
Yeah, but I've seen the impact he had on a quarterback who was just very average.
I'm not disputing it. He is unbelievable.
You want to take this outside?
You don't want the smoke. You don't want the smoke.
but I listen, I have no problem with the tackles either because like they need that. And those guys are really good. Like I really like that kid from Penn State a lot. And so I don't have a problem with that at all. And again, that's an off-season, that would be an off-season topic. But the other but it's like they have to fix it. We know it. And
they need
there you go. I mean,
they need guards, they need center, they need tight ends, they need another running back, need another receiver, maybe a quarterback, definitely defensive ends, help on the interior defensive line, definitely linebackers, absolutely need cornerbacks, another safety for sure, and maybe a long snapper.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're golden.
Sean points out Marvin Harrison may not go pro. I
think he's going to go pro.
Yeah, I would be surprised. And I know that you know what, like last year, CJ Stroud said that he almost went back, but they go. Yeah. Because like, if you're going to be a top three or four,
you don't get much better than that.
It's hard to pass that up. And, I would love if he went back to Ohio State. I do not. Yeah, I do, and if he does, and then that's good for them, but I don't know. And
the holidays start here at Kroger with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Kroger has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
The holidays are a time to feel and create joy. And what could be more joyous than the look on her face as she unwraps a stunning new jewelry piece from Blue Nile? How about getting 50% off your purchase? Blue Nile offers premium quality, priced below traditional retail. Their online experts are available 24/7 to answer any questions and make sure you've picked the perfect gift. For a limited time, you can get 50% off at BlueNile.com. That's 50% off at BlueNile.com.
But again, with Forbes, I mean, you have to put the corner on the list now, right? Because
absolutely.
But here's the other thing I was going to ask along with that. Because of how St. Jude season is gone, how deep do you think that is a need now in the off season?
I think it's a huge need. It's a huge need. And I think it will also make them really want to keep Kendall Fuller maybe another year. Maybe. I mean, I shouldn't say that's just a hunch because he is a good corner and they don't really have anybody solid behind him. I thought St. Just was. I thought he was developing. This year, I kind of changed my tune on him. I think Quan Martin is a tremendous athlete. He could maybe be a good corner at this point, just based on what I've seen so far. I don't want to discount him, but I think he's playing faster. He still has some mistakes. I mean, was it New England he gave that, or was it Seattle? I put all the games together where he got beat pretty badly at the line. Oh, that was Miami. That was Tyreek. But a lot of corners get beat by Tyreek.
But the problem,
go ahead.
The problem, the hard part that I have with St. Just is that there have been a lot of issues with that. And I would like to have seen a little bit better against some of the better receivers, but also certain routes where I felt like it seemed like he played it the same way as he did early in the year when he had some issues. And, I think he's better than what we've seen, because I think in the first 2 years he was better than this year. And, and I'll be curious to see what the impact of the new staff is on him.
Yeah.
And the same with Forbes. I mean, we'll see where that goes. You can't write a kid off after 1 year, because there have been other corners who came in and struggled, but it's just been a bad year for him because of the struggles, because of the interjection and all that, which you can say was BS, but he was ejected. Right. So it just adds to what else is he going to go through to test him? But, and how big a loss do you think Chris Harris was for this group?
I think they liked him, but I don't know that he was great enough to be the difference maker in this. It's not like he went on to become a defensive coordinator or a head coach. I think he's a good positional coach, and they respected him and they trusted him. And that is a lot, especially, for any positional coach to have that trust from your players. But was he an exceptional, developer of talent? I don't know. It's not like their secondary. It's not like they were still giving up massive plays then too. So I don't know.
Yeah, no. And that's my thing too. And I felt like he helped develop the communication skills. However, I think you need guys on the field who can do that for you too. And I think that's something they have lacked in that secondary. Right. And I like Cam Curl a lot, but he's not the most vocal guy with that. And it's funny because somebody asked about have we seen changes in the secondary since Rivera started calling plays? Well, not really, because they keep giving up big plays. And I think the one thing is they try to simplify it, right? And it hasn't worked. So I think whether it's
more up front, I see the changes. Then Jonathan Allen mentioned this on it was on 106.7 on his weekly radio call about how they're blitzing more. They're trying to find new ways to create pressure since they don't have Montez or Chase at end, or James Smith-Williams at end. So they're trying different things there and mugging the linebackers more, but is it always successful? No.
It hasn't been, but yeah, they've been a little bit more aggressive there, because I know, and that was an issue definitely, and it's been a hard defense to watch at times, especially earlier this year, because they didn't do anything. Yeah. It was just too reliant on guys go make a play versus watching what Dallas does with Micah Parsons, or what the Vikings do with their other teams at Wink Martindale, where it's a little bit more aggressive. Right. And not just aggressive, because you can be really good in a certain way, but I think you've got to do a little bit more to confuse.
A little less predictable. Yeah.
Yeah. I've watched this offensive line get confused by these simulated pressures all year. Are you telling me that every line can handle it better than this one? No. Right. You test that. It's just like with secondaries, test it with the motion. Get guys in motion. They did that to the Eagles. That's why they worked against them. Right. They knew they could test the Eagles with it, and it worked. Teams do it against these guys. Do it to other teams. Right. They got to let me coach, Nikki. I'm itching to coach, and they don't ask me. That's why I keep sticking around.
Unbelievable. How many years has it been time? How many years?
30. And not once have they come to me and said, "What would you do?"
Most people would get the message at that point, but I appreciate your persistence.
I think you know me better than that to know I don't get the messages very. So I'm going to put this up from Anthony, who said he would lose his bleep if they picked Harrison over QB having the fourth pick. What good is a receiver without protection for?
I'm kind of with Anthony. Well, I'll say this: Marvin Harrison is one of those generational talents.
Correct.
He is the only person that I would be okay with him taking instead of a quarterback. Otherwise, I think until you find a quarterback, you take a quarterback. We've been over this. This has been my feeling the entire time.
Right. And see, my initial thing is at first I thought he was going to say over an offensive lineman because he said without protection. So if it's a quarterback, you take the quarterback till you get it solid. Yeah. But if you want to be on a tackle, I got 2 words for you: Jamar Chase. The Bengals took Jamar Chase over Penny Sewell. Kind of worked out for them.
Yep.
So not that, and like we can point to different examples, but I do think if you think that Marvin Harrison's going to be, I talked to someone today who said Hall of Fame type talent. All right, I'll take that. We're not talking.
Do you think he'll be better than his dad?
I don't know. I mean, the kid's phenomenal.
He's unbelievable.
But again, and again, this is all offseason stuff, but it's all about what do you do in free agency first. We'll have a clue as what they really need there based on free agency. So before people get up who they should pick there, and I'm going to change my mind several times because then I can say I was right. It's like, I said
You're
they should
gonna have
pick
20 mock drafts too, just to hit every possible combination you can get.
That's the standing room only. That's a standing room only podcast, not this one. But there you go. Anyways, let's call it a wrap here, Nikki. I think we're getting a little bit goofy because the season's wearing on everybody. So that's it. Thanks for joining me, Nikki. Tell people where they can find you.
At WashingtonPost.com or on Twitter or whatever the heck it's called now at Nicki Jhabvala, NICKIJHABVALA.
There you go. As always, thanks for coming on. Thanks for everybody tuning in. I will be back on Thursday with a special guest who can give you some insight into what a general manager thinks about the situation. I wonder who Anyways, I'll be back on Thursday. I will have a good guest. It's Rick Spielman, former general manager. He'll be on. I had a good conversation with him. So I'll talk to you next time.